The children's wing of Seattle Memorial always smelled like vanilla hand sanitizer and hope. Iris Colton had learned to breathe through her mouth on difficult days, when the antiseptic cut too sharp and the hope felt too fragile. Today was supposed to be simple. File paperwork, prep her therapy rooms for Monday's sessions, maybe grab decent coffee from the cart outside before heading to her brother's birthday dinner. Then she heard the screaming, not the ordinary cry of a sick child, or the wail of someone getting shots. This was different, raw, primal, the sound of a small body trying to escape its own skin. Iris's feet moved before her brain caught up, pulling her toward the administrative hallway where the sound echoed off pale blue walls. Her canvas bag thumped against her hip, the small instruments inside rattling like bones. She rounded the corner and stopped. A little girl, maybe 6, was on the floor, her small frame rigid, hands clapped over her ears. Her eyes were squeezed so tight that tears leaked from the corners, and her chest heaved with hyperventilation. A man knelt beside her, expensive suit jacket discarded, his hands hovering uselessly in the air. "Lily, please, look at me. Just look at me." His voice cracked on the last word. Iris recognized that particular break desperation, wearing the mask of control. The man was striking even in his panic. Dark hair, slightly disheveled, sharp jaw clenched, shoulders broad beneath a shirt that probably cost more than Iris's monthly rent, but it was his eyes that caught her gray, stormy, and absolutely terrified. "Sir." Iris kept her voice low, non-threatening. "I'm a music therapist here. May I help?" His head snapped toward her, and she saw the calculation flash across his features. Stranger, risk, options exhausted before he nodded once, sharp and desperate. Iris crouched 6 feet away from the child, far enough not to invade her space. She set down her bag slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a small silver music box her grandmother had given her, the kind with a delicate ballerina that spun when you wound it. She didn't wind it. Not yet. "I can hear your heart," Iris sang softly, a melody she'd written years ago for exactly this purpose. "It's beating so fast, so loud, so scared. But I promise you this." She wound the music box one turn. "The scared will pass." A single crystalline note emerged. The little girl's rigid shoulders shifted, just barely. "I promise you this," Iris continued, her voice like honey and safety. "You're not alone in the scared. I've been scared too. Your heart knows what to do. Let it slow down. Let it rest." She wound the box again. 3 more notes, light as butterfly wings. The girl's breathing hitched, caught, then released on a shuddering exhale. Iris kept singing, kept winding, kept creating a pocket of sound that pushed back against whatever terrible thing had triggered this moment. She didn't look at the man, though she felt his stare like heat against her cheek. "The scared will pass," she repeated, letting the words become rhythm, become truth. "Your heart knows the way home." The music box spun out its simple melody, Brahms's lullaby, worn smooth by decades, and the little girl's hands slowly, tremulously, lowered from her ears. Brown eyes peeked open, glossy with tears and exhaustion. Iris held her gaze and smiled. Just a small one. Just enough to say, "You're safe. You did it." The girl didn't smile back, but something in her small face softened. Her chest still heaved, but the movements were slower now, deeper, finding their way back to normal. "Good," Iris murmured. "So good. You're so brave." The man made a sound, half exhale, half sob, and Iris finally looked at him fully. He was staring at his daughter like she'd just walked on water. Then his gaze shifted to Iris, and the intensity of it nearly knocked her backward. "How did you—" He stopped, swallowed. "She hasn't let anyone close in months. Not doctors, not her nanny, not me. Music cuts through different channels," Iris said simply. "Sometimes when words are too much, melody finds its way in." The little girl Lily was sitting now, her yellow dress rumpled and twisted, her dark curls stuck to her damp cheeks. She reached out one small hand, fingers stretching toward the music box. Iris wound it again and set it between them. "It's okay. You can come closer if you want." Lily crawled forward, slow and cautious, like approaching a nervous animal. When she was close enough, she touched the music box with one finger, watching the ballerina spin. "Pretty," Iris said. "My grandmother gave this to me when I was about your age. It helped me when I felt scared too." Lily's brown eyes lifted to Iris's face, studying her, searching for something. Then the girl did something that made Iris's throat tighten. She climbed into Iris's lap, tucked her head under Iris's chin, and went completely still. Iris froze, meeting the man's shocked gaze over his daughter's curls. She doesn't. He cleared his throat roughly. She doesn't do that. Not anymore. Iris wrapped her arms carefully around the small, warm body and felt Lily's heartbeat gradually sync with her own. The medical wing hummed around them, distant voices, elevator chimes, the ever-present beep of monitors, but here, in this small circle of music box melody, everything felt suspended. "What's your name?" the man asked after a long moment, his voice low and raw. "Iris Colton. I work in the pediatric therapy wing. Marcus Hale." He ran a hand through his hair, and Iris noticed it was shaking. "Thank you" doesn't begin to cover what just happened. She wanted to say something professional, something that would maintain appropriate boundaries between hospital staff and whatever this was. But the weight of his daughter in her arms and the devastating gratitude in his eyes made her throat tight. "Children with anxiety respond to consistency and calm," she said instead. Whatever triggered her, she just needed to know she could come back from it. A door slammed down the hallway. Marcus's jaw clenched. That's all it took. A goddamn door. Lily stirred slightly, and Iris automatically began humming, her hand rubbing slow circles on the girl's back. The motion was instinctive, earned through years of working with frightened children, but the way Marcus watched her made it feel intimate somehow, dangerous. "Does she have a therapist?" Iris asked, keeping her voice clinical. "4. She won't speak to any of them." The defeat in those words was absolute. She hasn't spoken since her mother died 18 months ago. Selective mutism, they call it. "But I think..." He stopped, his throat working. "I think she's just too scared to let any sound out. Like if she stays completely quiet, nothing else bad can happen." Iris's heart cracked. She knew that fear, had lived in a different version of it after her father left, when she was 8, and learned that loving people meant they could disappear. "I'm sorry," she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. Marcus nodded once, sharp, then looked at his daughter. When his gaze lifted back to Iris, something had shifted in it, a decision made, a line crossed. "I need to ask you something." He moved closer, and Iris caught the scent of expensive cologne and desperation, and I know how it will sound, but I'm watching my daughter feel safe for the first time in over a year, and I won't let this moment disappear. Iris's pulse kicked up. "Mr. Hale, I'll pay you anything." The words came fast, urgent. "Name your price, but I need you. Lily needs you. I have clients. I'll cover their care. I'll fund the entire therapy department if that's what it takes." He wasn't pleading. This was something harder, sharper, a man who built empires laying down every card he had. "I've tried everything, and nothing has worked until you." Lily's breath was soft, and even against Iris's collarbone now. Her small body completely relaxed in a way that spoke of utter exhaustion and hard-won peace. "What exactly are you asking?" Iris made herself meet his eyes. Marcus Hale looked at his daughter, then back at Iris, and what she saw in his face made her breath catch vulnerability and steel. Desperation and determination, a father at the absolute end of his rope, with nothing left to lose. He knelt, right there in the hospital hallway, this man in his $1,000 shoes and shirt that probably cost more than her car payment. He knelt in front of her, and said the words that would change everything. "Be her mom." The music box spun down to silence. Iris's world tilted sideways. "What?" "Not legally. Not..." He stopped, regrouped. "I'm saying this wrong. I'm asking you to come live with us. Help her. I'll pay you whatever you need. You can still work, still have your own life. But please," his voice cracked again, "please help my daughter learn how to feel safe again." Lily stirred, a small sound escaping her throat. Not words, but the first vocalization Iris had heard from her. And Iris, who had built her entire adult life on boundaries and self-protection, who had sworn she would never tie herself to someone else's need again, felt every defense she had crumble under the weight of one simple truth. She couldn't walk away from this child. God help her. She couldn't walk away. Iris should have said no immediately. Should have explained professional boundaries, ethical considerations, the dozen reasons why a music therapist couldn't just move into a client's home like some kind of live-in miracle worker. Instead, she sat in Marcus Hale's private car, because of course he had a private car, complete with driver and leather seats that probably cost more than her student loans, with Lily asleep against her shoulder, and wondered how her ordinary Tuesday had become this. The Seattle skyline glittered through tinted windows, Pike Place Market, giving way to the residential neighborhoods that climbed the hills like ambition made stone. Iris watched the city transform from familiar to foreign, each block adding another zero to the median home price. She never falls asleep like that, Marcus said quietly from his seat across from them. He'd been watching his daughter for the entire 20-minute drive, his expression caught between wonder and something that looked like grief. Usually it takes hours. White noise machines, weighted blankets, sometimes medication. And still she wakes up screaming. Iris adjusted her arm, trying not to disturb Lily's sleeping weight. The little girl's fingers were twisted in Iris's cardigan, holding on even in sleep. Mr. Hale, Marcus. His voice was firm. If you're going to tell me no, at least call me by my name, Marcus. The name felt strange on her tongue, too familiar for someone she'd met 30 minutes ago, regardless of how intimate this moment felt. What you're asking is impossible. I have a job, a life. I can't just uproot everything to become a live-in therapist for one child. Why not? The question was so direct, so genuinely curious, that Iris almost laughed. Because that's not how the world works. It's how my world works. No arrogance in the statement, just fact. I identify a problem. I find the solution. I implement it. Your daughter isn't a problem to be solved. Something flashed in his eyes, pain. Quick and sharp before his professional mask slid back into place. Poor choice of words. But you understand what I mean. I've spent 18 months watching her disappear. Every specialist I've hired has given me statistics and strategies and absolutely no results. Then you walk into a hallway and sing, and suddenly she's... He gestured to his sleeping daughter, his hand trembling slightly. Suddenly she's this. Iris looked down at Lily's peaceful face, cheeks flushed with sleep, dark lashes resting against pale skin. So small, so breakable. I'm not a miracle worker, Iris said quietly. What happened in the hospital that was a moment. A connection. But it doesn't mean I can fix whatever is broken inside her. Maybe not. But you reach something no one else has been able to touch. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and the movement brought him closer. Close enough that Iris could see the faint lines around his eyes, the shadow of beard darkening his jaw, the exhaustion that lived in every angle of his face. I'm not asking you to fix her. I'm asking you to help her feel safe enough to try healing herself. The car slowed, then turned through gates that looked like they belonged to an estate, not a residence. Iris's stomach dropped. Where are we? My home. Just to talk. I promise I'm not kidnapping you. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. Though I realize driving you here without explicit consent isn't exactly supporting that claim. The driveway curved through perfectly manicured grounds, old-growth trees, flowering gardens that probably required a full-time staff, stone pathways that led to places Iris couldn't see. Then the house came into view, and house felt like calling the ocean damp. It was modern in glass and completely breathtaking, perched on the hillside like something from an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the dusky sky, and warm light glowed from within, making the entire structure look like a lantern against the gathering dark. Jesus, Iris breathed. I know it's excessive. Marcus sounded almost apologetic. My wife chose it, said Lily needed space to grow. Now it just feels like a very expensive place to be lonely. The raw honesty of that statement made Iris's throat tight. The car stopped at the front entrance, and a woman emerged 50-something, silver hair pulled back, professional warmth radiating from her smile. Mr. Hale. I wasn't expecting you back so soon. Change of plans, Sandra. Marcus opened the car door and moved to take Lily from Iris's arms. His hands brushed Iris's shoulders, and the contact sent an unexpected jolt through her system. This is Iris Colton. She'll be staying for dinner. I will? Iris climbed out of the car, her canvas bag suddenly feeling very shabby against the backdrop of marble and glass. You will. Marcus cradled his daughter with practiced ease, and the sight of this powerful man holding his sleeping child so carefully did something dangerous to Iris's defenses. Sandra, could you take Lily up to her room? And let Chef know we'll need an extra setting for dinner. Of course. Sandra reached for Lily, but the little girl stirred and whimpered, her hands reaching back toward Iris even in sleep. No, it's okay, baby, Marcus murmured. But Lily's whimper became a desperate keen, her eyes flying open in panic. Iris stepped forward instinctively. Hey, sweet girl, you're home, you're safe. Lily's brown eyes found Iris's face, and the terror in them eased slightly. She reached out both arms, and before Iris could think better of it, she took the child back. Lily's face buried itself in Iris's neck, and her small body relaxed immediately. Marcus and Sandra exchanged a look that Iris couldn't quite read. I'll take her up, Iris heard herself say. If that's okay. Third floor, end of the hall, Marcus said, his voice rough. Sandra will show you. Lily's room was a dream of soft colors and expensive taste. Pale pink walls, white furniture that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale, toys that had clearly been carefully curated by someone who understood child development. There was even a small grand piano in the corner, white and gleaming, but it was also sterile, impersonal, like a room designed for a child, not by one. Iris set Lily on her bed, a princess canopy situation that probably cost more than Iris's yearly salary, and the little girl's eyes opened fully. Do you want to change into pajamas? Iris asked softly. Lily pointed to her dresser. Iris found soft cotton pajamas covered in stars and brought them back. Need help? A small nod. They moved through the routine slowly, carefully, Lily allowing Iris to help her change with a trust that felt both precious and terrifying. When she was dressed, Lily climbed back into bed and patted the space beside her. Iris sat on the edge of the mattress. I should go back downstairs. Your dad is waiting. Lily's hand shot out and grabbed Iris's wrist. Not roughly, but firmly. The message clear. Stay. Okay, Iris whispered. Just for a minute. She lay down beside Lily on top of the covers, and the little girl immediately tucked herself against Iris's side, her head on Iris's shoulder in an exact mirror of how she'd been in the hospital. Iris began to hum no particular song, just melody, and felt Lily's breathing slow and deepen. Your dad loves you very much, Iris murmured. I know things are scary right now. I know it feels like the world is too loud and too big and too much, but you're going to be okay. I promise you're going to be okay. Lily's hand found Iris's and held tight. And Iris, lying in a stranger's home in a child's fairy tale bedroom, felt something in her chest crack open the careful distance she'd maintained for years, the protective walls that kept her safe from getting too attached, too invested, too hurt. Trouble sleeping? Iris's head jerked toward the doorway where Marcus stood, shoulder against the frame, watching them with an expression that made her pulse stutter. She asked me to stay, Iris whispered. She communicated that? His voice pitched low, not wanting to wake his daughter. With words? With meaning. Iris carefully extracted herself from Lily's grip, replacing her hand with a soft pillow that Lily immediately clutched. She's exhausted. The panic attack took everything out of her. Marcus crossed to the bed and pulled a blanket over his daughter with heartbreaking gentleness. He stood there for a long moment, just watching her sleep, and Iris saw the love and helplessness warring in his face. Dinner? He asked quietly, gesturing to the door. Iris followed him out, pulling the door mostly closed behind them. They stood in the hallway, and suddenly the situation felt different without Lily between them. More charged, more complicated, more dangerous. I meant what I said earlier, Marcus said, his gray eyes holding hers. Name your price, whatever you need. I'll make it work. It's not about money. Then what is it about? Iris thought about her tiny apartment in Ballard, her carefully scheduled days, the life she'd built around being needed but never too needed, useful but never essential. She thought about Lily's small hand holding hers. She thought about what it would mean to step into this world, even temporarily. I need to think, she said finally. This isn't a decision I can make in one evening. Then take 2 evenings. A hint of dry humor in his voice. Stay for dinner. Let me make my case properly. Then I'll have my driver take you home, and you can think all you need. I'm supposed to be at my brother's birthday dinner right now. Call him. Tell him you'll be late. I'll make it worth the delay. Iris should have insisted on leaving. Should have maintained every professional boundary this situation was systematically destroying. Instead, she pulled out her phone and texted Ethan. Emergency at work. Won't make dinner. Sorry. Love you. The lie tasted bitter, but the truth that she was standing in a billionaire's mansion contemplating upending her entire life for a man she just met, and his daughter, who hadn't spoken in 18 months, felt impossible to explain. Marcus smiled, small and genuine, and Iris realized with sudden clarity that she was in very serious trouble. Good, he said. Now let me feed you, and we can discuss the terms of your employment. I haven't agreed to anything. Not yet. He gestured down the hallway toward a sweeping staircase. But you will. The certainty in his voice should have annoyed her. Instead, it sent a shiver down her spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. The dining room could have seated 20 easily, but Marcus had arranged for them to eat in what he called the small dining room, which was still larger than Iris's entire apartment. French doors opened onto a terrace with a view of Elliott Bay, the water dark and glittering with city lights. The table was set with china so delicate, Iris was afraid to breathe near it. And there were more forks than she knew what to do with. "You're making a face," Marcus observed from across the table. "I'm trying to figure out which fork is for what." Iris picked up the smallest one. "This one looks aggressive." He laughed, a real laugh, warm and surprised, and something in his face transformed. For just a moment, he looked younger, less burdened, almost carefree. "That's for oysters." "But we're not having oysters, so you're safe." "Good. I don't trust food that looks back at me." A woman appeared, the chef, presumably with plates that looked like art. Iris stared at what appeared to be perfectly seared fish, with vegetables arranged in a pattern too beautiful to eat. "Thank you, Marie," Marcus said. "It looks perfect." When they were alone again, silence settled over the table like expensive linen. Iris picked up her regular-sized fork and took a bite. The fish melted on her tongue, butter and herbs, and something she couldn't name but wanted to taste forever. "This is incredible," she said before she could stop herself. "Marie studied in Paris. She's wasted on me. I usually eat at my desk." Marcus took a sip of wine from a glass Iris hadn't seen him pour. "But Lily needs consistent mealtimes, so Marie insists on cooking properly every evening, whether I show up or not. That's kind of her. I pay her extremely well to be kind." The cynicism in that statement made Iris set down her fork. "Do you think everyone around you is only here for the money?" Marcus looked up sharply, gray eyes assessing. "Aren't they?" "I don't know. Are they?" "In my experience, yes." He cut his fish with precise movements. "People who claim otherwise are usually just better at hiding their true motivations. That's bleak. That's reality, at least in my world." Iris studied him across the table, this man who'd built an empire but couldn't help his own daughter, who hired the best of everything but didn't trust anyone's intentions, who'd knelt on a hospital floor and asked a stranger to save him. "What happened to your wife?" she asked quietly. The fork in his hand stilled. For a long moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. "Car accident. Black ice on I-90 heading back from a ski trip." His voice was carefully neutral, but Iris heard the jagged edges beneath. "Died on impact. Lily was in the back seat, physically unharmed." "Oh God." Iris's hand moved unconsciously toward him across the table, then stopped. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. She hasn't spoken since the officer came to the door to tell me. The therapists say she's trapped in that moment. The crash, the silence after, the confusion. They say she associates sound with trauma now. Speaking feels dangerous to her. But she's been making progress," Iris said gently. "She hummed in the hospital, and she communicated non-verbally with clear intent. Those are huge steps. Steps she only took with you." Marcus set down his fork and leaned back in his chair, his gaze intense. "In 18 months, 4 different therapists, countless interventions. Nothing. Then 30 minutes with you, and she's sleeping peacefully in her room, instead of screaming herself hoarse with nightmares. That could have been exhaustion from the panic attack. It wasn't. Absolute certainty. I know my daughter. And I know what I saw in that hallway." Iris took a sip of her water. She declined the wine, kneading her head clear, and tried to organize her thoughts into something rational. "Let's say I consider this," she began carefully. "What exactly would you expect?" Marcus leaned forward, and suddenly, he was all business, the CEO who built a maritime empire from his father's struggling shipping company, who negotiated million-dollar deals before breakfast. "You would move into the guest wing, private suite, full bathroom, sitting area, your own space." He ticked off points like a contract negotiation. "You'd work with Lily every day, using whatever methods you think best. Music therapy, play therapy, whatever you need. I'll convert one of the rooms into a proper therapy space. I have other clients. Keep them. I'll arrange transportation to and from the hospital for your scheduled sessions, or you can do telehealth from here. Whatever works." "That's not how music therapy works. I can't just..." "Then teach me how it works." No impatience in his voice, just determination. "Tell me what you need, and I'll make it happen." Iris pushed her, barely touched food around her plate. "What about Lily? What would you tell her about why I'm there?" "The truth. That you're there to help her feel safe. That we both think you're special, and we'd like you to stay for a while. And when I leave, when this arrangement ends..." She made herself meet his eyes. "You'll have created an attachment that will devastate her when it's broken." The muscle in Marcus's jaw flexed. "Then don't leave. That's not realistic." "Why not?" He stood abruptly, his chair scraping against hardwood, and crossed to the French doors. His silhouette against the view was all sharp lines and tension. I'm offering you more money than you've probably ever made. The freedom to work with other clients, resources most therapists would kill for, and the chance to genuinely help a child who desperately needs you. What part of that isn't realistic? The part where I uproot my entire life for strangers. We won't be strangers. He turned, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Not after what happened today. You felt it too, that connection. With Lily, He stopped, seemed to reconsider his words. You felt something. She had. That was the problem. I felt empathy for a suffering child. That's my job. That wasn't empathy. That was recognition. He moved back toward the table but didn't sit. You knew exactly what she needed because you've been her. You've been that scared. Whatever happened to you, whatever taught you to build those walls, I can see you hiding behind. It's what makes you able to reach my daughter. The observation was too sharp, too seeing. Iris felt exposed. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. He braced his hands on the back of his chair. I know you didn't hesitate to help a panicking child. I know you carry a music box in your bag like some people carry mace. I know you texted someone named Ethan that you had a work emergency instead of telling them the truth about where you are. And I know you're scared not of me, not of this house or my money, but of caring too much about something you can't control. Iris stood so fast her chair tipped backward. You have no right. I have every right. I'm fighting for my daughter's life. His voice cracked on the last word. Maybe not her physical life, but everything that makes her Lily, her laugh, her curiosity, the way she used to sing made-up songs at the top of her lungs. That's all dying a little more every day, and I am fucking powerless to stop it. The rawness in those words, the absolute devastation in his face, it stripped away every defense Iris had been clinging to. I'm scared, Marcus said quietly, the admission seeming to cost him. I'm terrified that I'm watching my daughter fade away, and I don't know how to reach her. Then you appear, and suddenly she's there again, present, connected, alive. So yes, I'm asking you to upend your life. I'm asking you to trust a man you just met, and move into his home, and help save his daughter. And I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to convince you to say yes. Iris pressed her palms against the table, needing something solid beneath her hands. What if I can't help her? The question came out barely above a whisper. What if today was a fluke, and I move in here and nothing changes, and you've spent all this money and energy for nothing? Then at least I'll know I tried everything. Marcus circled the table slowly, and Iris tracked his movement like prey watching a predator. But I don't think it was a fluke. I think you're exactly what Lily needs. What we both need. He stopped close enough that Iris could smell his cologne again, could see the flecks of darker gray in his eyes, could feel the heat radiating from his body. 1 month, she heard herself say. Trial basis. I keep my apartment. I keep my other clients. And if at any point I feel like this isn't working, I leave. No guilt, no pressure. Something flared in Marcus's eyes, triumph, relief. Something deeper she couldn't name. Done. Name your salary. Triple my current rate. Done. I want a contract. In writing. Clear boundaries around my role, my hours, my authority with Lily. My lawyers will have it ready by Friday. And I want one thing that has nothing to do with money. He tilted his head, curious. What? You let me teach you how to reach her. Whatever I learn about what helps Lily, I share with you. Because at the end of this month or year or however long I'm here, it's you she needs to trust. Not me. The expression that crossed Marcus's face was complicated, gratitude and pain, and something that looked almost like hope. Agreed. He held out his hand, and Iris looked at it for a long moment before taking it. His grip was warm, firm, and sent electricity up her arm that had nothing to do with professional courtesy. Welcome to our lives, Iris Colton. God help me, she murmured. His smile was small and devastating. Probably a good prayer to start with. Iris's apartment looked even smaller through the lens of temporary. She stood in her living room, barely bigger than Marcus's dining room, and tried to figure out what to pack for a month in someone else's home. Her best friend Riley sat on the sagging couch, eating pizza and providing absolutely no help. So let me get this straight. Riley gestured with a slice of pepperoni. Billionaire Maritime CEO asks you to move into his mansion, to be his daughter's live-in therapist, / not mom, and you said yes. That's reductive, but essentially accurate. And you're paying me in pizza to help you pack. I'm also buying you that concert ticket you wanted. Okay, that's fair. Riley took another bite. But seriously, Iris, this is insane. You don't even know this guy. I know he loves his daughter. Iris folded a sweater she'd probably never wear, too casual for a mansion, too formal for her sessions. I know he's desperate and genuine. And I saw his daughter's face when she felt safe for the first time in 18 months. And that's enough to make you move in? Iris sat on her bed, suddenly exhausted. I've been doing this job for 7 years. I've worked with hundreds of kids, and I've never not once seen a connection happen that fast. That completely. It felt like what? Like recognition. Like Lily saw something in me that she needed, and I saw something in her that I understood. Riley set down her pizza and moved to sit beside Iris. Babe, I love that you want to help this kid. But be honest with me, is this really just about Lily? What else would it be about? Maybe the gorgeous, emotionally devastated billionaire who literally got on his knees and begged you? That's not... Iris stopped, felt heat creep up her neck. That's not a factor. And I'm the Queen of England. Please pass the royal pizza. Riley. Iris. Her friend's tone turned serious. I've known you since sophomore year of college. I watched you build this careful, contained life where you help people, but never let them too close. And that's worked for you. But this? She gestured around the apartment. This is you jumping into the deep end with both feet, and I need to know you're not going to drown. Iris thought about Marcus's face when he talked about his daughter fading away, about the desperate hope in his eyes when Lily fell asleep in Iris's arms. I'm not going to drown, she said quietly, but I might get in over my head. That's what I'm afraid of. The car Marcus sent Friday morning was ridiculous, some kind of luxury SUV with seats that probably cost more than Iris's student loans. The driver, a kind-faced man named Robert, loaded her 3 bags with the solemnity of someone handling precious cargo. Mr. Hale is looking forward to your arrival, Robert said as they pulled onto the highway. Is Lily awake? Up since dawn, according to Sandra. She's been waiting by the front window. Something in Iris's chest squeezed tight. They drove through Seattle's morning traffic, past her favorite coffee shop and the library where she volunteered on Saturdays, through neighborhoods she knew by heart into ones that felt foreign. The houses grew larger, the lots more expansive, the gates more imposing. When they pulled through the entrance to Marcus's property, Iris saw Lily pressed against a first-floor window, her small face a pale moon behind the glass. The car barely stopped before the front door opened and Lily flew out, Sandra calling after her about shoes and being careful. Iris climbed out, and Lily launched herself at Iris's legs, wrapping her arms around Iris's knees with devastating enthusiasm. Hey, sweet girl. Iris knelt and pulled Lily into a proper hug. I missed you. Lily pulled back just enough to stare at Iris's face, her brown eyes searching, serious. Then she did something extraordinary. She smiled. Not a big smile, not a laugh, just a small, tentative curve of lips that transformed her entire face. There you are, Iris whispered, touching Lily's cheek. Hi. She's been like this since Marcus told her you were coming. Sandra approached, her professional warmth genuine. Couldn't eat breakfast, couldn't focus on anything, just waiting. Guilt and something warmer tangled in Iris's chest. I'm here now, and I'm going to be here for a while. Lily took Iris's hand and began tugging her toward the house. I think she wants to show you something, Sandra said with a smile. Mr. Hale is in his office but asked to be notified when you arrived. Let him know I'm here, Iris said. But maybe give us a few minutes first. Sandra nodded knowingly and disappeared inside. Lily led Iris through the massive foyer, more marble, more glass, art that probably belonged in museums, and up the sweeping staircase, past the 2nd floor, where Iris vaguely remembered Lily's room being, up to the 3rd floor. They stopped at a door that stood open, revealing a space that made Iris's throat tight. It was a music therapy room, professional grade, better than what she had at the hospital. There was a piano, a real one this time, not a toy. Guitars of different sizes mounted on the wall, a shelf of percussion instruments, soft floor mats and beanbag chairs, windows that overlooked the gardens, filling the space with natural light. Oh my God, Iris breathed. Lily pulled her inside and pointed to a small table where Iris's grandmother's music box sat, carefully placed on a velvet cushion like a treasure. You remembered, Iris said softly. Lily nodded solemnly, then reached for Iris's hand again and led her to the piano. She climbed onto the bench and patted the space beside her. Iris sat, and Lily immediately leaned against her side. Do you want me to play something? A small nod. Iris let her fingers find the keys, playing the same lullaby melody from the music box. Simple, Sweet. Safe. Lily's hand reached out and pressed a single key, middle C, holding it until the sound faded. Then she pressed it again. And again. That's C, Iris said quietly. It's a good note. Strong and clear. Lily pressed it 3 more times, her face utterly focused. We used to play together, a deep voice said from the doorway. Iris looked up to find Marcus leaning against the frame, still in work clothes, charcoal suit, burgundy tie, his hair slightly disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. Before? Iris asked softly. She'd sit on my lap and bang on the keys while I pretended to play Chopin. Sophia, my wife, would record videos on her phone, laughing so hard she couldn't hold the camera steady. The past tense of those words, the weight of memory in his voice, made Iris's heart ache. Lily's hand stilled on the keys, her small body tensing. Your mom loved hearing you play, Marcus said, his voice gentler now. She said you were going to be a famous pianist someday. Lily's other hand reached for Iris's wrist, holding tight. Marcus seemed to understand he'd pushed too far. He straightened, sliding his professional mask back into place. I need to head to the office for a few hours. Sandra will show you your suite whenever you're ready. There's a tablet in your room with the household information. Wi-Fi passwords, emergency contacts, Chef Marie's preferences for meal planning. Okay. Iris kept her voice neutral, sensing the sudden distance he'd created. Tonight I'll be home for dinner. 7 o'clock. We can discuss schedules and routines then. Marcus. Iris made him pause. Thank you for this room. It's perfect. Something flickered in his expression, pleased, vulnerable, quickly shuddered. Sandra helped. I just told her what you'd need based on your hospital setup. You came to the hospital to see my workspace? I researched you. A hint of defensiveness. I wasn't going to hire someone to live with my daughter without doing due diligence. What did you find? The question came out more curious than offended. That you're excellent at your job. That you volunteer at a children's shelter on Saturdays. That you've published 2 papers on music therapy for trauma in pediatric populations. That you live alone, have 1 close friend named Riley, and haven't been in a serious relationship in over 3 years. Iris's pulse kicked. That's invasive. That's necessary. No apology in his tone. My daughter's safety is my priority, but for what it's worth, everything I learned made me more certain that you're exactly who we need. He left before Iris could form a response, his footsteps echoing down the hallway. Lily pulled on Iris's sleeve and pointed back to the piano. You want to play more? Iris asked. A nod. So Iris played, and Lily listened, and together they filled the beautiful room with sound, while Marcus Hale drove to his office and carried the weight of his world alone. The guest suite was actually a small apartment bedroom with a king-sized bed, sitting room with a fireplace, bathroom that looked like a spa, and a walk-in closet that made Iris laugh at the absurdity. Her 3 bags looked ridiculous in the middle of all that space. Sandra appeared as Iris was attempting to hang up her modest wardrobe. Settling in? Trying to figure out if I'm supposed to feel like Cinderella or an imposter. Both are normal. Sandra's smile was kind. Though between you and me, it's nice to have someone here for Lily who isn't on the payroll. No offense to our lovely staff, but that girl needs more than employees. She has her father. She does. And he loves her more than life. But Marcus doesn't know how to be vulnerable anymore. Not since Sophia died. Sandra busied herself opening curtains, her movements practiced. She was the warm one. The one who made this house feel like a home instead of a museum. Marcus has tried, but he's drowning in his own grief and doesn't know how to save his daughter from hers. Iris absorbed this, hanging up a cardigan that looked cheap against the expensive wood hangers. What was she like? Sophia? Luminous. That's the word I'd use. She lit up every room, made everyone feel special. Lily adored her. They were inseparable. Sandra's voice softened with memory. The accident broke both of them, but at least Marcus can still function. Lily just stopped. Until now, Iris said quietly. Until you. Sandra turned, her gaze assessing. Whatever this is between you and that little girl, it's real. I saw how she waited for you, how she came alive when you arrived. I'm just doing my job. Honey, if this was just a job, you'd have asked for a hotel room instead of moving in. You're invested. Just be careful. Sandra's expression turned serious. Marcus is a good man, but he's also used to solving problems with money and strategy. Don't let him make you into another asset he manages. The warning settled uneasily in Iris's chest. After Sandra left, Iris found the tablet and scrolled through the household information. Wi-Fi passwords, staff schedules, meal preferences. There was even a section on Lily, her routines, her triggers, her medications. Under notes, Marcus had written, "Lily responds best to consistency and low-pressure environments. She sleeps with a weighted blanket and white noise machine. Nightmares typically occur between 2 to 4 a.m. She hasn't spoken since January 17th of last year, the day of the accident. Every specialist says patience and safety are key. I'm running out of patience. But you make her feel safe. Please don't let her down." The plea in those final words made Iris's chest tight. She set the tablet aside and looked around her beautiful, temporary room, wondering what the hell she'd gotten herself into. Outside her window, the Seattle skyline glittered in the afternoon sun, familiar and foreign all at once. Dinner was surprisingly normal. Lily insisted on sitting between Iris and Marcus, her small presence bridging the careful distance they'd maintained all afternoon. Chef Marie had made pasta simple, perfect, the kind of comfort food that felt like permission to relax. "How was your first day?" Marcus asked, his tone carefully casual, as he twirled spaghetti around his fork, with the precision of someone who'd learned European table manners young. "Lily gave me a tour of the gardens," Iris said. "Did you know you have a koi pond?" "I'd forgotten about that, actually. Sophia designed it." He glanced at his daughter. "Did you show Iris the big orange one? The one you named Tangerine?" Lily nodded, a small smile touching her lips at the memory. "She was 3 when we got those fish," Marcus continued, something softening in his face. "She insisted on naming every single one. Took us hours sitting by that pond." Iris watched the interaction, noting how Lily's shoulders relaxed when Marcus spoke about her mother this way, matter of fact, fond, not weighted with grief. "What are the others named?" Iris asked Lily directly. Lily held up fingers, 7 of them. 7 fish? Iris guessed. A nod. "Should we write them down so I can learn their names?" Lily's eyes widened with enthusiasm, and she was off her chair and racing from the room before either adult could respond. "She's getting paper," Marcus said unnecessarily, a hint of amusement in his voice. "She has very specific opinions about which notebook is appropriate for which task. She's particular. She's Sophia's daughter. Everything had to be just so." He took a sip of wine, and Iris noted how his hand was steadier tonight than it had been in the hospital. "I'm more of a chaos and make it work person." They balanced each other. "And you and Lily?" The question hung between them, heavier than Iris intended. "We're both a mess," Marcus said simply. "But we're trying." Lily returned with a small purple notebook and a set of colored pencils that looked artist-grade. She climbed back into her seat and opened to a fresh page, beginning to draw with intense concentration. "She's drawing the fish," Marcus translated, leaning over to watch. "She's actually quite good." Over the next 20 minutes, Lily created a detailed illustration of the koi pond, each fish labeled with careful lettering. Tangerine, butterscotch, ghost, shadow, marble, sunrise, pearl. "These are beautiful," Iris said, genuinely impressed. "You're an artist." Lily's cheeks flushed with pleasure, and she carefully tore out the page and handed it to Iris. "For me?" Iris touched her chest. "I love it. Thank you." The simple exchange felt monumental somehow, a small bridge of trust built in colored pencil and care. After dinner, Marcus retreated to his office for a few calls that Iris suspected would last hours. She and Lily moved to the music room where they'd spent the afternoon, and Iris let the little girl dictate their activities. Lily wanted to explore the percussion instruments, so Iris taught her about rhythm clapping patterns, drum beats, the way sound could be structured or wild. Lily was tentative at first, then gradually bolder, her small hands striking tambourines and hand drums with growing confidence. "You know what I think?" Iris said as Lily experimented with a rain stick. "I think music is how you've been talking this whole time, just not with words." Lily looked up sharply, the rain stick stilling. "Every time you point, every time you touch a piano key, every time you choose which notebook to use, that's communication. That's your voice." Iris knelt to Lily's level. "And it's beautiful. You don't have to use words until you're ready. But I want you to know that I hear you anyway." Lily's eyes filled with tears, sudden, surprising, and she launched herself at Iris, wrapping small arms around Iris's neck with desperate strength. "It's okay," Iris murmured, holding her close. "You're okay. You're so brave and strong and okay." They stayed like that until Lily's trembling stopped, until her breath evened out, until she pulled back and wiped her eyes with small fists. Then she did something that made Iris's throat tight with hope and fear in equal measure. She opened her mouth and hummed. Not loud, barely more than a vibration in her chest, but sound, intentional sound. Yes, Iris whispered. That's perfect. That's so perfect. Lily hummed again, slightly longer this time, and Iris matched her pitch, creating harmony. They hummed together, back and forth, finding a melody between them that felt like conversation. When they finally stopped, Lily looked exhausted but peaceful. She took Iris's hand and led her upstairs, clearly ready for bed. The bedtime routine was elaborate, specific pajamas, specific blanket arrangement, the white noise machine, set to exactly the right volume, stuffed animals positioned just so. But Lily moved through it with Iris like they'd done it 100 times, showing her each step with patient clarity. When Lily was finally settled, she patted the bed beside her, the same request as before. Just until you fall asleep, Iris agreed, lying down on top of the covers. Lily tucked herself against Iris's side, her head on Iris's shoulder, her small hand gripping Iris's shirt. Within minutes, her breathing deepened, her body relaxing into sleep. Iris stared at the ceiling and tried not to think about how natural this felt, how right, how dangerous. She was drifting toward sleep herself when the door opened and Marcus appeared, silhouetted in the hallway light. He froze when he saw them, something crossing his face too fast to read. Iris carefully extracted herself and joined him in the hallway, pulling the door mostly closed. Sorry, she whispered. She asked me to stay until she fell asleep. Don't apologize. Marcus's voice was rough. I just came to check on her. I usually do before I go to bed, even though she never wakes up when I'm here. They stood in the hallway, the house quiet around them, and suddenly the space between them felt charged. She hummed tonight, Iris said softly. During our session, intentional vocalization. Marcus's eyes widened. She did? For almost 30 seconds. We created harmony together. That's... His voice cracked. That's the first sound she's made in 18 months. It's a start. It's a fucking miracle. He scrubbed a hand over his face, and Iris saw how tired he was beneath the perfect exterior. I'm sorry. I don't usually curse. I think the situation warrants it. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. Then it faded, something more complicated taking its place. Can I ask you something? Okay. Why did you really say yes? The money is good, sure, but you could have negotiated that and still kept your distance. Instead, you moved in. You're sleeping beside my daughter like it's the most natural thing in the world. Why? Iris thought about all the careful, professional answers she could give. Instead, she went with the truth. Because when I held her in that hospital hallway, I felt something I haven't felt in a long time needed, in a way that mattered. Not just useful, not just competent, but essential. She met his eyes in the dim light, and that's dangerous, I know, but it's also why I'm here. Essential. Marcus repeated softly, like he was testing the weight of the word. Yeah, that's exactly what you are. The moment stretched between them, intimate and uncomfortable and electric all at once. I should go, Iris said. Let you do your check-in. Get some sleep. Iris. She paused at the top of the stairs. Thank you, Marcus said. For today. For her. He stopped, seemed to struggle with the words. Just thank you. Iris nodded and descended to the second floor, feeling his gaze follow her until she disappeared around the corner. At 2:47 a.m., Iris woke to screaming. She was out of bed and running before her brain fully engaged, following the sound to Lily's room. The door was open, Marcus already there, trying to calm his thrashing daughter. Lily, baby, wake up. You're dreaming. You're safe. His voice was steady, but Iris heard the edge of panic beneath. Lily's eyes were open but unfocused, her small body rigid with terror, those horrible keening sounds pouring from her throat. Let me, Iris said, moving beside the bed. Marcus stepped back immediately, giving her space. Iris didn't touch Lily, not yet. Instead, she began to sing, the same melody she'd used in the hospital, letting her voice cut through the nightmare. I can hear your heart, beating so fast, so scared, but the scared will pass. Lily's screaming faltered, caught on a sob. I promise you this. You're not alone in the scared. Your heart knows what to do. Gradually, Lily's eyes focused, finding Iris's face in the darkness. There you are, Iris said softly. You're home. You're safe. It was just a dream. Lily's arms reached out, and Iris gathered her close, feeling the small body shake with aftershocks of terror. Marcus sank into a chair by the window, his hands over his face. Iris held Lily and hummed, rocking her gently, until the shaking stopped and exhaustion won out. When Lily's breathing evened into sleep, Iris carefully laid her back down and adjusted the blankets. Then she turned to find Marcus, watching her with an expression that made her chest tight. "She usually screams for hours," he said, his voice raw. "Nothing helps. Nothing. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just..." He stood abruptly. "Stay with her. Please. I can't watch her go through that again tonight." Marcus. But he was already gone, his footsteps heavy on the stairs. Iris looked at sleeping Lily, then at the door Marcus had disappeared through, and felt the weight of what she'd agreed to settle fully on her shoulders. This wasn't just a job. This wasn't just helping a child. This was becoming essential to two people who were barely holding themselves together. And Iris, who'd built her whole life around being needed but never this much, didn't know if she was strong enough to carry them both. But as Lily shifted in her sleep, small hand reaching for Iris even unconscious, Iris knew she was going to try anyway. The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm that felt both foreign and natural. Mornings were Lily's music therapy sessions in the beautiful third-floor room, gradually introducing new instruments, new sounds, new ways of expressing without words. Lily's humming became more frequent, more confident, though she still hadn't spoken. Afternoons, Iris conducted telehealth sessions with her hospital clients from the suite's sitting room, maintaining the thread of her old life while becoming increasingly woven into this new one. Evenings were family dinners, the three of them around that ridiculous table, learning to be something resembling normal. And Marcus. Marcus was the complication Iris hadn't accounted for. He was different than she'd expected. Yes, he was controlled and commanding in his business calls. She'd overheard enough through walls that weren't quite thick enough. But with Lily, he was gentle, patient, willing to defer to Iris's expertise even when it clearly frustrated him. With Iris herself, he was careful, respectful, kept his distance except for those moments when their hands would brush passing dishes at dinner, or when they'd both reach to help Lily with something simultaneously, and the contact would send electricity through Iris's system that she absolutely could not acknowledge. "You're thinking too loud," Riley said through the phone, 2 weeks into Iris's new life. "I can hear you overthinking from across the city." "I'm not overthinking. You're definitely overthinking. What's going on?" Iris looked out her window at the gardens below, where Marcus was playing with Lily some kind of game involving a ball and a lot of gentle laughter. Even from here, she could see the tension in his shoulders ease when his daughter smiled. "I think I'm getting too attached," Iris admitted quietly. "To Lily or to her father?" "Both. Neither. I don't know." "Iris. He's grieving, Riley. Still so deep in it that some days I can see it eating him alive. And Lily's making progress, but she's fragile. They both are. And I'm starting to feel like if I leave, I'll break something that's barely beginning to heal. That's called being good at your job. No, it's called getting emotionally invested beyond professional boundaries." Iris pressed her forehead against the cool glass. "I'm supposed to help her learn to feel safe, then transition her to someone permanent. Instead, I'm becoming the person she's attached to, and I don't know how to untangle that without hurting her." "Maybe you're not supposed to untangle it." "Riley, I'm serious. You said this felt like recognition, right? Like you were meant to find each other? What if this isn't temporary? What if this is you finding your people?" The suggestion should have sounded ridiculous. Instead, it landed in Iris's chest, like truth. The breakthrough came on a Wednesday afternoon. Iris was working with Lily on a simple song, teaching her to play "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" on the piano. Lily's small fingers found the notes carefully, concentration fierce on her face. "Beautiful," Iris said when Lily finished. "Now you try singing it while you play." Lily's hands stilled. She looked at the keys, then at Iris, and shook her head. "You don't have to if you're not ready," Iris said gently. "But I think you can. I think you're strong enough." Lily bit her lip, tears gathering in her eyes. "What are you afraid of?" Iris asked softly. "What do you think will happen if you use words?" Lily's hands lifted from the keys and signed something rudimentary ASL that Iris had been teaching her as another form of communication. "Mama won't hear." The sign was messy, uncertain, but the meaning gutted Iris. "Oh, sweetheart." Iris pulled Lily into her lap, holding her close. "Your mama can't hear you anymore. But I promise you something, she heard every word you ever said to her when she was alive. Every song, every laugh, every I love you. Those don't disappear just because she's gone." Lily was crying now, silent tears streaming down her cheeks. "And you know who else wants to hear your voice?" Iris turned Lily to face her. Your dad. He misses it so much. He told me you used to sing all the time, made up songs about everything. He said it was his favorite sound in the world. Lily signed. It hurts. I know. Using your voice feels scary because the last time you did, everything changed. But baby, you staying silent won't bring her back. It won't make you safer. It's just making you smaller, and you're too bright to be small. They sat together in the afternoon light, Lily crying, Iris holding her, until finally the tears slowed and Lily pulled back. She looked at the piano. At Iris. Back to the piano. Then she opened her mouth and whispered, barely audible, cracked and uncertain, Twinkle. Iris's vision blurred with tears. Yes, keep going. Twinkle, slightly louder. Little, star. Lily's voice broke on the last word, and she sobbed, but Iris heard the pride beneath the tears. You did it, Iris whispered fiercely. You're doing it. How? Lily was crying and speaking simultaneously now, the words tumbling out broken and beautiful. Wonder. What? You. Are. The door burst open, and Marcus stood there, frozen, his face a mask of shock. Lily saw her father and went completely still. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped to his knees beside them. Lily, baby, say something, please. Lily looked at him, at Iris, then back at her father. Hi, Daddy, she whispered. Marcus made a sound that was half laugh, half sob, and pulled his daughter into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. Lily clung to him, and Iris saw father and daughter shaking together, 18 months of silence breaking between them. Iris started to stand, to give them privacy, but Marcus's hand shot out and caught her wrist. Don't go, he said roughly. You're part of this. So Iris stayed, her hand in Marcus's grip, while Lily spoke haltingly to her father, simple words, broken sentences, but words nonetheless. I missed you, Marcus kept saying. God, I missed your voice so much. I was scared, Lily whispered. I know, baby, I know, but Iris helped me be brave. Marcus looked up at Iris then, his gray eyes bright with tears, and the expression on his face was so raw, so grateful, so full of something she couldn't name, that Iris felt it in her bones. Thank you, he mouthed. Iris nodded, not trusting her voice. They stayed like that, the 3 of them, in a circle of healing and hope, until Lily yawned and announced she was tired. Do you want to rest in your room? Iris asked. With you? Lily's voice was small, uncertain, like she was relearning how to ask for things. Of course. They tucked Lily into bed together, Marcus on one side, Iris on the other, and she fell asleep between them, small hand holding each of theirs. When her breathing deepened, Marcus looked at Iris across his daughter's sleeping form. I don't know how to thank you, he said quietly. You don't have to. I do. He was still holding her hand, she realized. You gave me my daughter back. She was always there. She just needed to feel safe enough to come out. Because of you. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, deliberate, intimate. Iris, what you've done for us. Marcus. She made herself pull her hand away, though it felt like tearing something. We should let her sleep. She escaped to the hallway, her heart pounding, needing distance, before she did something stupid like acknowledge the way he looked at her, the way his touch made her feel, the way this was all becoming dangerously real. But Marcus followed her, catching her at the top of the stairs. Wait. His hand on her arm, gentle but firm. Please wait. Iris turned, and he was too close, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his gray eyes, smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. I need to say this, Marcus began, his voice low and rough. These past 2 weeks, watching you with Lily, seeing her come back to life, it's been the first time since Sophia died that I've felt like maybe we're going to be okay. And that's because of you. Your patience, your kindness, your absolute refusal to let my daughter stay lost. He paused, swallowed hard. You're extraordinary, Iris Colton, and I don't. Iris stepped back, needing space, needing air. Don't say whatever you're about to say. Why not? Because you're vulnerable right now. Because today was huge and emotional and you're grateful. But that's not, we can't. She stopped. Tried again. I'm here for Lily. That has to be enough. What if it's not? Marcus's voice dropped lower, more intimate. What if I want more? The words hung between them, dangerous and tempting and absolutely impossible. Then we have a problem, Iris said quietly. Because I can't be both Lily's therapist and something else to you. It doesn't work that way. Then stop being her therapist. Marcus, I'm serious. We'll hire someone else for formal therapy. You can just be, what? Your girlfriend? Your daughter's substitute mother? Iris's voice sharpened. That's not how this works. That's not what you hired me for. I hired you to help my daughter. You've done that. Now I'm asking you to stay for different reasons. No. Iris turned toward the stairs. I'm going to my room. You're going to go to bed. And tomorrow we're going to pretend this conversation didn't happen. Iris. Good night. Marcus. She fled to her suite and locked the door, then leaned against it, heart racing, body shaking. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? She wanted it too. The next morning, Iris woke to 7 missed calls from an unknown number and a text from Sandra. Mr. Hale needs to see you in his office immediately. It's urgent. Iris's stomach dropped. She dressed quickly and found Marcus in his home office, a sleek space of dark wood and technology that hummed with quiet power. He was on the phone, his voice cold and clipped, speaking to someone about damage control and legal action. When he saw her, he held up one finger weight and finished the call with brutal efficiency. What's wrong? Iris asked the moment he hung up. Marcus turned his computer screen toward her. The headline made her blood run cold. Maritime mogul Marcus Hale's live-in nanny, the woman who replaced his dead wife. The article was from some trashy gossip site, complete with photos of Iris arriving at the house 2 weeks ago, another of her and Lily in the garden, and a particularly damning shot of Marcus's hand on her arm last night, taken through a window. Oh my God, Iris breathed. It gets worse. Marcus clicked to another tab. Another article, different site, same vicious tone. There are 6 of these so far. Someone tipped them off about you moving in. They're spinning it as a scandal. Grieving widower replaces wife with younger woman, daughter being used as cover for affair. Iris sank into a chair, her vision swimming. We're not. I know that. You know that. But facts don't matter to these vultures. Marcus's jaw was tight with anger. My PR team is already fielding calls. My board is concerned about optics. And someone, his voice turned lethal. Someone on my staff sold those photos. Who? I don't know yet. But I will. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture betraying his agitation. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I should have anticipated this, should have prepared you. Stop. Iris made herself breathe. It's not your fault. We didn't do anything wrong. Tell that to the internet. He gestured at the screen where comments were already piling up vicious, judging, making assumptions about her character, her intentions, her relationship with both Marcus and Lily. Iris's phone buzzed. Riley. Oh my God. Are you okay? I just saw the articles. Do you need me to come get you? Then her brother. What the hell, Iris? Why didn't you tell me you were living with some billionaire? Then numbers she didn't recognize. Texts flooding in reporters, she realized, somehow getting her personal number. Turn off your phone, Marcus said sharply. I'll have IT handle getting you a new number. Iris powered it down with shaking hands. What about Lily? Has she seen this? She's with Sandra in the playroom. No screens allowed this morning. But she'll find out eventually. Kids at school, other parents. He stopped, his voice rough. This is going to follow her. The weight of that landed like a stone in Iris's chest. Maybe I should leave. If I'm gone, the story dies. Absolutely not. Marcus was around the desk in seconds, his hands on her shoulders. Do not let these people chase you away from us. Marcus, your reputation. Fuck my reputation. The curse was harsh, desperate. You think I care what strangers say about me? I've been dealing with gossip since my father died and left me the company at 25. But I will not lose you over this. Lily will not lose you. His hands tightened on her shoulders, and Iris realized he was trembling. We'll figure this out, he said more quietly. My lawyers are already preparing statements. PR will craft a narrative that's closer to truth. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Iris looked into his eyes and saw the same desperation she'd seen in the hospital, a man at the edge, fighting for what mattered. Okay, she whispered. Okay? I trust you. Something in his expression cracked open, vulnerable and relieved, and for a moment Iris thought he might kiss her. Instead, he pulled her into a hug, tight, grateful, grounding. Thank you, he murmured into her hair. Thank you for not running. Iris let herself lean into him for just a moment. Let herself feel the solid strength of his body, the way her heart synced with his. Then she pulled back before she could do something stupid like admit how much she wanted to stay. Not for Lily, not for the job, but for him. The official statement went out that afternoon. Marcus Hale has retained music therapist Iris Colton to provide specialized care for his daughter Lily, who experienced trauma-related selective mutism following a family tragedy. Miss Colton's presence in the Hale home is strictly professional. Any suggestions otherwise are categorically false and will be pursued legally. It was clinical, distant, and absolutely necessary. It also felt like a lie. Iris avoided Marcus for the rest of the day, citing work calls and client sessions. Really, she just needed space from the intensity of this morning, from the way her body had fit against his, from the dangerous truth that she was falling for a man she absolutely could not have. Lily, thankfully, was blissfully unaware of the media storm. She spent the afternoon painting in the art room Sandra had set up, chattering to Iris about her pictures with that halting, beautiful voice that was growing stronger every day. "This is you," Lily said, showing Iris a figure with brown curly hair and a yellow dress. "And this is Daddy, and this is me. We're at the koi pond. It's beautiful, sweetie. We're happy," Lily added. Like it was important Iris understood. In the picture, we're all happy together. The innocence of it, the simple wish that they could just be happy without complications, made Iris's throat tight. "I hope we're happy in real life too," Iris managed. "We are." Lily looked at her seriously. "You make Daddy smile." "He didn't smile before you came." "Lily, I like when you're both here. It feels like..." She frowned, searching for words. "Like before Mama died. Not the same, but good different." Iris didn't know what to say to that. How to explain that good different might not be permanent, that the world outside this house had opinions and demands that could tear their careful peace apart. So she just hugged Lily close and hoped it would be enough. Dinner was tense. Marcus was distracted, his phone buzzing constantly with updates from his team. Lily picked at her food, sensing the adult tension even if she didn't understand its source. "Daddy," she said finally, her voice uncertain. "Are you mad?" Marcus's attention snapped to his daughter immediately. "No, baby. I'm not mad. Just dealing with some work stuff." "You feel far away." The observation was so perceptive, so emotionally intelligent, that both adults froze. "I'm sorry." Marcus set down his phone deliberately. "You're right. I'm here now. Tell me about what you did today." Lily brightened and launched into a description of her artwork, and gradually the tension eased. They fell back into their routine, passing dishes, gentle teasing, the rhythm they'd built over 2 weeks that felt both fragile and essential. After Lily went to bed, Iris found Marcus on the terrace, staring at the city lights with a glass of whiskey in his hand. "You okay?" she asked softly. "They found the leak. Junior staff member in my security team." His voice was flat. "Sold the photos for $15,000. Didn't think about what it would do to Lily, to you, to my company. Just saw an easy payday." "What happened to them?" "Fired. Blacklisted. Legal action pending." Marcus took a sip of whiskey. "I don't tolerate betrayal." The coldness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, Iris understood it, the protective fury of someone who'd built walls around his daughter and couldn't forgive anyone who threatened her safety. "The story will die down," Iris said, joining him at the railing. "Scandals have a short shelf life. Maybe. But the damage is done. People will always wonder if there's more to this than professional care." He looked at her sideways. "And the worst part is, they're not entirely wrong, are they?" Iris's breath caught. "Marcus, I meant what I said last night." He turned to face her fully. "I want more. I know it's complicated. I know it's messy. But I can't keep pretending I don't feel something when you're near. That I don't think about you constantly. That watching you with my daughter doesn't make me want things I have no right to want. We can't. I know." He cut her off gently. "I know all the reasons we can't. But that doesn't change how I feel." Iris's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. "You're grieving. You're grateful. You're confusing. Don't tell me what I'm feeling." No anger in his voice, just quiet certainty. "I know the difference between gratitude and attraction, between grief and desire. I've been grieving for 18 months. This is different. Marcus, please, I'm not asking you to do anything about it," he continued. "I'm just asking you to stop pretending you don't feel it too." Iris opened her mouth to deny it, to maintain the professional distance that was supposed to keep this situation safe. But she was so tired of lying. "You're right," she whispered. "I do feel it. And it terrifies me." Marcus's eyes darkened. "Why?" "Because Lily needs me to be stable, reliable, permanent. If this," she gestured between them, "if we complicate things and it goes wrong, she loses someone else she's attached to. I won't do that to her." "What if it doesn't go wrong?" "It always goes wrong." The words came out sharper than she intended. "My father left when I was 8. My fiancé broke our engagement 3 years ago because he said I was too closed off, too unwilling to let him in. I don't know how to do this. The attachment, the vulnerability, the risk. I know how to help people. I don't know how to let them help me." The confession hung between them, raw and true. Marcus set down his glass and moved closer, not touching, but near enough that Iris could feel his warmth. "Then let me teach you," he said softly. "The way you taught Lily to be brave. Let me show you that staying can be worth the risk." Iris looked up at him, at the hope and heat in his gray eyes, and felt every defense she'd built crumbling. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Me too." His hand lifted, cupped her cheek with devastating gentleness. "But I think we might be scared together, which is better than being scared alone." The logic was terrible. The situation was impossible. The timing was all wrong. But when Marcus leaned down and pressed his forehead to hers, when his breath mingled with hers in the space between, Iris felt something shift, a door opening, a wall falling, a possibility blooming. "Not yet," she whispered. "Not while I'm still Lily's therapist. Not while this is all so new and fragile. But eventually," his voice was rough with hope, "maybe, if we do this right, if we put Lily first and figure out how to navigate this without hurting her, we can do that." "Can we?" Iris pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. "Can you be patient? Can you wait while I figure out how to be brave?" "I've waited 18 months to feel anything but grief," Marcus said. "I can wait however long you need." The promise in those words, the sincerity, made Iris's chest ache. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay." They stood together on the terrace, not quite touching, both afraid and hopeful. While the city glittered below and the future hung uncertain between them, the fragile peace lasted exactly 4 days. On Sunday evening, Marcus's mother arrived unannounced. Iris was helping Lily with homework at the kitchen table when the doorbell rang, followed by Sandra's startled voice, and then heels clicking on marble with the precision of incoming artillery. "Where is my son?" The woman who swept into the kitchen was elegant, cold, and radiating displeasure. Silver hair, perfectly coiffed, designer suit, pearls that probably cost more than Iris's car. Her eyes, the same gray as Marcus's but without any of his warmth, landed on Iris with laser focus. "You must be the music therapist." The title came out like an accusation. "Mom." Marcus appeared in the doorway, his expression carefully controlled. "I wasn't expecting you." "Clearly." Elizabeth Hale's gaze swept the domestic scene. Lily's homework, the half-eaten snacks, Iris's casual clothes. "We need to talk. Privately." "Lily, why don't you go practice piano?" Marcus said gently. "Iris will come check on you in a few minutes." Lily looked between her father and grandmother nervously, then gathered her things and fled. Iris started to follow, but Elizabeth's voice stopped her. "Miss Colton should stay. This concerns her." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Mother, do you have any idea what the board is saying?" Elizabeth didn't wait for an answer. "The rumors about you and this girl are making them question your judgment. 3 major investors have called me personally, expressing concerns about the company's image." "Then tell them the truth," Marcus said evenly. "That Iris is helping Lily recover from selective mutism. That she's a licensed professional, providing legitimate therapeutic care." "Oh, Marcus." Elizabeth's laugh was cutting. "You can't possibly be that naive. A beautiful young woman moves into your home 2 years after your wife's death, and you expect the world to believe it's purely professional?" "It is purely professional," Marcus lied, and something in Iris's chest cracked at how easily the words came. "Is it?" Elizabeth's gaze shifted to Iris. "Miss Colton, what exactly are your qualifications for this position?" "I have a master's in music therapy from Northwestern, 7 years of clinical experience in pediatric trauma, and certification in—" "That's not what I asked." Elizabeth moved closer, predatory. "What are your qualifications for inserting yourself into a grieving family? For replacing a woman who was beloved by everyone who knew her? For convincing my son to make you indispensable to his damaged daughter?" "That's enough," Marcus's voice turned to ice. You don't get to come into my home and insult someone I've invited here. Someone you've allowed to become far too important far too quickly. Elizabeth didn't back down. Sophia has been gone for less than 2 years, Marcus. Your daughter is vulnerable. The company is watching. And you're playing house with a stranger? Iris isn't a stranger. She's the first person who's been able to help Lily speak again. By making herself indispensable. By creating dependency. Do you think that's healthy? Do you think when this ends, and it will end, Lily won't be devastated all over again? The words hit exactly where Iris's own doubts lived, and she flinched before she could hide it. Elizabeth noticed. Of course she noticed. You see? The older woman's voice turned almost gentle, more dangerous for its kindness. Even she knows this isn't sustainable. You're all pretending this situation is something it's not, and my granddaughter will pay the price when reality crashes down. Get out. Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. Marcus, I said get out. Of my house. Now. Elizabeth looked at her son for a long moment, something like disappointment crossing her face. When this falls apart, and it will, don't say I didn't warn you. She left with the same precise heel clicks she'd arrived with, the front door closing with pointed gentleness. The silence she left behind was deafening. Marcus stood frozen, his hands clenched at his sides, breathing hard. She's right, Iris said quietly. No, she's not. About some of it, about the dependency, about what happens when I leave. Iris made herself look at him. We've been so focused on helping Lily that we haven't thought about the exit strategy. There is no exit strategy. Marcus turned to her, his eyes blazing. You're not leaving, Marcus. Your mother just made it clear that my presence is causing problems. For you, for your company, I don't give a damn about my company's image. I care about my daughter finally feeling safe. I care about you. He crossed the space between them in 3 strides. Don't let her do this. Don't let her make you doubt what we're building here. We're not building anything, Iris said, the lie tasting bitter. I'm doing a job, and when Lily is stable enough, when she has other support systems, I need to step back. Like hell you do. This was always temporary. You knew that. I knew that. Nothing about this feels temporary. Marcus's voice cracked. Lily asks for you every morning. She sleeps through the night because you're here. She's speaking again, laughing again, being a child again, and you... He stopped, swallowed hard. You've become part of us, part of our family. I'm the help, Marcus, paid staff. Your mother made that very clear. Don't reduce yourself to that. You're more than... Am I? Iris's voice rose despite her effort to stay calm. Or am I just convenient? The woman who fixed your daughter and happens to be age-appropriate enough that you could imagine something more. How do you know what you feel is real and not just grief and gratitude and proximity? The question hung between them like a blade. Marcus stared at her, something breaking in his expression. You think that's all this is to me? I don't know what this is. That's the problem. Iris wrapped her arms around herself. We haven't had time to figure out what's real and what's just circumstantial. Then let's take the time. Let's be honest about what's happening between us and see where it goes. While I'm living in your house, while Lily is attached to me, while your board and your mother and the entire internet have opinions about us, Iris shook her head. That's not fair to anyone, especially Lily. So what are you saying? I'm saying maybe your mother is right. Maybe I've let this become too personal. Maybe we need to bring in another therapist to transition Lily's care, and I need to step back. No, flat, absolute. I won't let you do this. It's not your choice. Iris's voice gentled. Marcus, I care about you, about Lily, but I can't keep pretending this situation is sustainable. The longer I stay, the harder it will be for everyone when I go. Then don't go. Stay. Not as her therapist, as something more permanent, something real. The offer, proposal, plea, whatever it was, hung in the air between them. Iris wanted to say yes. God, she wanted to say yes. But Elizabeth Hale's words echoed in her head. When this falls apart, and it will, don't say I didn't warn you. I need to think, Iris said finally. About what's best for Lily. That has to be the priority. And what about what's best for you? For us? There is no us. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Iris forced herself to walk toward the stairs. I'm going to check on Lily. We can talk about this later. Iris. Later, Marcus. Please. She fled upstairs and found Lily in the music room, sitting at the piano with her small shoulders hunched. Hey, sweet girl. Iris sat beside her. Want to practice? Lily looked up, and her eyes were wet with tears. Is grandmother mad at you? Not mad, just worried. About me? About everyone. Adults sometimes worry too much. Iris wiped Lily's tears with gentle thumbs. But that's not your job to fix, okay? You just focus on being 6 and playing piano and being wonderful. Are you leaving? The question was small, terrified. Iris's heart cracked. What makes you think that? I heard grandmother say things end. She said I'll be sad again. Lily's breath hitched. I don't want to be sad again. I don't want you to go. Oh, baby. Iris pulled Lily into her lap, holding her close. I'm not going anywhere right now, I promise. Whatever happens, we'll make sure you're okay. You're going to be okay. But you're thinking about leaving, I can tell. Lily pulled back, her brown eyes too wise for 6. You feel far away, like Daddy does sometimes when he's thinking about Mama. The observation gutted Iris. This was exactly what Elizabeth had warned about, exactly what Iris had feared. Lily had already lost her mother, and now she was terrified of losing Iris too. Listen to me. Iris held Lily's face gently. I love being here with you. I love watching you be brave, and hearing your voice and seeing you grow. But part of my job is to help you feel strong enough that you don't need me quite so much. That you can feel safe even when I'm not right beside you. I don't want to be strong like that, Lily whispered. I want you to stay, I know. And we're going to figure this out together, okay? You, me, and your dad. We're going to make sure that no matter what changes, you'll be okay. Lily buried her face in Iris's shoulder, small hands fisting in Iris's shirt, and Iris held her, staring out at the Seattle skyline, wondering how she'd let herself become so essential to this child's happiness, wondering if there was any way to untangle herself now without breaking all 3 of their hearts. The decision crystallized 3 days later, at 3 a.m., in the aftermath of another nightmare. Iris had come running at Lily's screams, as always, but this time Marcus was already there, already holding his daughter, already murmuring comfort with a voice that finally sounded confident instead of desperate. He was using the techniques Iris had taught him, the gentle pressure, the rhythmic breathing, the soft humming that cut through panic, and it was working. Lily was calming in her father's arms, her small body relaxing, her breathing syncing with his. Marcus met Iris's eyes over his daughter's head, and in his gaze she saw triumph and sadness in equal measure. He knew what she was thinking. He didn't need her anymore. Not for this. Go back to bed, Marcus said quietly. I've got her. Iris nodded and retreated, but she didn't go to her room. Instead, she went to the music therapy space and sat at the piano in the dark. She'd succeeded. That was supposed to feel like victory. Instead, it felt like grief. I knew I'd find you here. Iris turned to find Marcus in the doorway. Lily presumably asleep again. She settled quickly, Iris said. Because you taught me how. He entered the room and sat beside her on the piano bench, their bodies close in the darkness. You taught me how to reach her, how to be what she needs. That was always the goal. I know. His hand found hers on the keys. Which is why I know what you're about to say. Iris's throat tightened. Marcus, you're leaving. Not a question. Because you've done what you came here to do, and staying longer would only make it harder. I need to transition her care, bring in someone permanent who can continue her progress. But yes, the admission hurt. I think it's time. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. What if I asked you to stay? He finally said, not as her therapist. As something else, something more. We've been through this. No, we've danced around it. We've talked in hypotheticals and professional boundaries and maybes. He turned to face her fully. But I'm asking you directly now, Iris. I'm asking if there's a world where you could see yourself here, with us. Not because of a job or a contract, but because you want to be. Marcus, it's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. His free hand cupped her face. I'm falling in love with you. I know it's too fast. I know the timing is terrible. I know I'm grieving and grateful and 1,000 other complicated things. But underneath all that, I know what I feel. And I hope you feel it too. Iris's eyes burned with tears. Feeling something doesn't mean acting on it is right. Why not? Because what happens if we try this and it fails? Lily's already lost her mother. If we become something to each other and then break up, she loses someone else she loves. I won't do that to her. You're talking yourself out of happiness because you're scared. Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. And I understand why. Your father left. Your fiancé walked away. You've learned that people leave, so you're trying to leave first before it can hurt worse. That's not fair. It's completely fair. It's also completely understandable. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. But Iris, I'm not your father. I'm not your ex. I'm a man who has been given a second chance at feeling something beyond grief, and I don't want to waste it being careful. What about being smart? Being responsible? I've been responsible my whole life. I built a company, married the right woman, did everything I was supposed to do, and then my wife died in a car accident, and I learned that playing it safe doesn't protect you from pain. His voice cracked. So I'm choosing something different now. I'm choosing risk and hope, and maybe this will work over. Definitely this is safe. Iris closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. I'm scared. I know. Me too. Marcus pressed his forehead to hers. But I think we could be extraordinary together if you'd let us try. What about Lily? What do we tell her? The truth. That we care about each other. That we want to see where this goes. That no matter what happens between us, we'll always make sure she's loved and safe. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. Kids are resilient, Iris, and Lily's stronger now because of you. She can handle her dad finding happiness again. Can she handle me being more than her therapist? There's only one way to find out. Iris looked at this man, this complicated, grieving, hopeful man, and felt the last of her defenses crumble. Okay, she whispered. Okay? I'll stay. Not as Lily's therapist, we'll find someone else for that. But I'll stay and see what this could be. The smile that broke across Marcus's face was devastating. Pure joy, pure relief, pure hope. Thank God, he breathed, and then his mouth was on hers. The kiss was gentle at first, almost cautious, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious. But then Marcus's hand tangled in her hair, and Iris's fingers gripped his shirt, and suddenly it was deeper, hungrier, months of tension and wanting pouring into this moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that for weeks, he admitted roughly. Me too. Iris's hands were shaking. Marcus, we need to go slow. For Lily's sake, for ours. As slow as you need. He pressed a soft kiss to her temple. But Iris? I'm not letting you go. Not now. Not when I've finally found something worth fighting for besides my company and my grief. Iris pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. What happens if this doesn't work? If 6 months from now we realize we made a mistake, then we'll deal with it like adults. We'll make sure Lily understands that sometimes people care about each other but aren't meant to be together. But I don't think that's going to happen. He brushed hair from her face with gentle fingers. I think we're going to wake up a year from now wondering how we got so lucky. The certainty in his voice, the absolute faith, made Iris want to believe him. Okay, she said again, this time with more conviction. Let's try. Marcus kissed her again. Softer this time, sweeter, full of promise and hope. When they finally pulled apart, dawn was starting to break over Seattle, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. We should tell Lily, Iris said, before she figures it out on her own. She probably already has. Marcus smiled. She's terrifyingly perceptive. Wonder where she gets that from. Definitely her mother. But the way he said it now, fond, at peace, felt different than before. Sophia would have liked you. She always said I needed someone who'd challenge me instead of just agreeing with everything I said. The mention of his late wife could have felt awkward, but instead it felt right acknowledgement that the past was part of them without controlling their future. I wish I could have known her, Iris said honestly. Me too. Marcus stood and pulled her up with him. Come on, let's make breakfast. Lily will be up soon, and I want to tell her together. They walked downstairs, hand in hand, the house quiet around them, and started making pancakes like they'd done it together 1,000 times. When Lily appeared 30 minutes later, still in pajamas, she stopped in the doorway and stared at them. You're holding hands, she observed. We are, Marcus confirmed. Come, sit down, sweetheart. We want to talk to you about something. Lily climbed into her chair, her brown eyes moving between them with careful assessment. Iris isn't going to be your therapist anymore, Marcus began. We're going to find another doctor to help you keep practicing your brave voice. Lily's face crumpled. I don't want another doctor. But Iris is still going to be here, Marcus continued quickly. She's going to stay because... He glanced at Iris, then back to his daughter. Because we like her very much. Because she's important to both of us. Like a friend? Lily asked. Like more than a friend, Iris said gently. Your dad and I care about each other. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to stay here not for work, but because I want to be part of your family." Lily looked between them for a long moment, her 6-year-old brain processing this information. "Will you still sing with me?" she asked Iris. "Every day, if you want. And help with homework?" "Absolutely." "And sleep in the room near mine?" Iris glanced at Marcus, who was trying not to smile. "Maybe I'll sleep somewhere different," Iris said carefully. "But I'll always be close when you need me." Lily seemed to consider this. Then she asked the question that mattered most. "Are you going to leave like Mama did?" The room went very still. "No, baby," Iris said, kneeling beside Lily's chair. "I'm choosing to be here, and I'm going to keep choosing to be here every day. Sometimes adults have to go away for work or trips or other reasons. But I'm not going to disappear. I promise." "You can't promise," Lily said seriously. "Mama promised to come back from skiing." The observation was so painfully wise that both adults felt it like a blow. "You're right," Iris said quietly. "I can't promise I'll never have to go away. But I can promise that when I do, I'll always come back. And I can promise that I love you and your dad very much, and that's not going to change." Lily looked at her father. "Do you love Iris, Daddy?" Marcus didn't hesitate. "Yes, I do. Is that okay with Mama?" The question nearly broke him. "Yeah, baby. I think Mama would want us both to be happy. She loved us so much that she'd want us to find joy again." Lily thought about this, her small face serious. Then she nodded once, decisive. "Okay, Iris can stay." She paused. "But I get to be flower girl at the wedding." Both adults laughed, surprised, relieved, charmed by this child's ability to cut straight to what mattered. "Deal," Marcus said. "When there's a wedding, we're absolutely the flower girl." "When there's a wedding?" Iris raised an eyebrow. "I'm an optimist." Marcus grinned at her, and Iris felt something in her chest expand with hope and happiness and terrifying, wonderful possibility. They ate pancakes together as the sun rose fully over Seattle. 3 people learning to be a family. And for the first time in 18 months, Marcus Hale's house felt like a home. 6 months later, Iris woke to spring sunlight streaming through windows that now felt like hers. The bedroom she shared with Marcus was still luxurious enough to occasionally make her laugh, the kind of space she'd never imagined living in. But it was also cluttered now with her books, her instruments, the chaos of 2 people building a life together. Marcus's arm was draped over her waist, his breathing deep and even, and Iris let herself have this moment of perfect contentment before the day started. "I can feel you overthinking," Marcus murmured against her shoulder. "I'm not overthinking. I'm appreciating." "Is there a difference?" He pressed a kiss to her neck, and Iris felt the familiar heat that still surprised her with its intensity. "With me?" "Not really." He laughed and pulled her closer, and they stayed like that for a few more stolen minutes before reality intruded in the form of small footsteps thundering toward their room. "Iris, Daddy, you have to see." Lily burst through the door, a new rule. She had to knock first, but excitement had clearly overridden protocol, holding a piece of paper like a trophy. "What is it, love?" Iris sat up, accepting the paper. "Mrs. Chen says my piano piece is good enough for the recital. I get to play in front of everyone." The pride in her voice, the confidence, the sheer joy of a 7-year-old who'd spent a year relearning how to take up space in the world, it made Iris's throat tight every time. "That's amazing." Iris pulled Lily into a hug. "We're so proud of you." "Can grandmother come to the recital?" Lily asked, more tentative now. Marcus and Iris exchanged a glance. Elizabeth Hale had been a complicated presence in their lives, never quite approving, never quite letting go of her disapproval, but she'd been trying, in her own rigid way, to accept this new configuration of her family. "We'll invite her," Marcus said. "Whether she comes is up to her." "She'll come," Lily said with the certainty of a child who understood adults better than they understood themselves. "She always comes for me." It was true. Whatever Elizabeth thought of Iris and Marcus's relationship, her love for Lily was absolute. And that, Iris had learned, was enough to build on. The piano recital was held on a Saturday afternoon in May, in a small concert hall that smelled like wood polish and aspiration. Lily was performing Fifth, a simple Bach minuet that she'd worked on for months. Iris sat between Marcus and Riley, with Ethan and his new girlfriend on Riley's other side. Elizabeth Hale sat at the end of the row, perfectly composed, watching her granddaughter with careful attention. When Lily's name was called, she walked to the piano with her head high, her yellow dress the same color as the one she'd worn the day they met, bright against the stage lights. She sat at the bench, adjusted her position just so, and looked directly at Iris in the audience. Iris smiled and pressed her hand to her heart. "You've got this." Lily smiled back, took a breath, and began to play. The notes were clear, confident, only slightly hesitant in the transitions she'd struggled with. But she pushed through, her small hands finding the patterns, her concentration absolute. When she finished, the audience applauded, and Lily's face broke into a huge smile before she bowed and ran off stage. Marcus's hand found Iris's and squeezed tight. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice rough. "For giving her back to me." "She was always yours," Iris whispered back. "I just helped her remember she was safe enough to come out." Later, at the celebration dinner Elizabeth had insisted on hosting, Lily regaled the table with every detail of the performance while demolishing a piece of chocolate cake roughly the size of her head. Elizabeth watched her granddaughter with barely concealed affection, then turned to Iris. "I understand congratulations are in order," she said, her tone neutral. "Marcus tells me you've accepted a position at Children's Hospital as their music therapy director." "I start next month," Iris confirmed. "It means I can help develop programs for other kids while still maintaining my own practice." "Ambitious." Elizabeth took a sip of wine. "Though I suppose ambition is necessary in this family." It wasn't approval, exactly. But it was acknowledgement. And from Elizabeth Hale, that was significant progress. "She's warming up to you," Riley murmured later, as they stood on the terrace. "Only 6 more months until she stops looking at you like you're a gold digger. She's protecting her son. I can't fault her for that. You're too understanding. It's annoying." Riley bumped Iris's shoulder affectionately. "But seriously, I'm happy for you. You look different now. Lighter. I feel different." Iris watched through the window as Marcus helped Lily with something, his patience evident, his love for his daughter written in every gesture. "I feel like I finally found where I'm supposed to be." "Gross, but also yes," Riley grinned. "So when's the wedding?" "Lily's been asking me about flower girl dresses." "We're not rushing, we have time." "You're such a liar. That man looks at you like you hung the moon, and you look at him like he's the gravity keeping you grounded. You're getting married, it's just a question of when." Iris couldn't argue because Riley was right. That night, after Lily was asleep, and Elizabeth had left with promises to do this again soon, which everyone understood meant in approximately 6 months, Iris and Marcus sat on their terrace with wine and quiet. "Your mother called me ambitious," Iris said. "I think that was almost a compliment." From her, it definitely was. Marcus pulled her closer on the outdoor sofa. "She's coming around. Slowly. But she sees how happy Lily is. How happy I am. That matters to her." "Good. Because I'd hate to spend the rest of my life being assessed and found wanting." "You could never be found wanting." He kissed her temple. "You're extraordinary, Iris Colton, and I'm the luckiest bastard alive that you walked into my daughter's crisis that day." "I think we're all pretty lucky, actually." Iris tilted her head to look up at him. 2 broken people and 1 traumatized kid, learning to be whole together. "We're not broken anymore. No, we're healing. That's different." Marcus was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on her arm. Then he said, "I've been thinking about something. That's dangerous." "I'm serious." He shifted so he could look at her properly. "I know we said we weren't rushing, and I don't want to pressure you, but Iris..." He stopped, seeming to gather himself. "I know what I want. I've known for months. And life is short and unpredictable, and I don't want to waste time we could be spending building this life together." Iris's heart started pounding. "Marcus, I'm not proposing right now. This isn't that." He smiled slightly. "When I propose, it'll be more planned, more romantic, definitely with a ring, but I'm telling you my intention. I want to marry you. I want to legally make you part of this family. I want Lily to have your name and mine, all tangled together. I want to grow old with you." Tears pricked Iris's eyes. "That's a lot of wanting. I'm a man who knows what he wants, and I want you, forever. However long forever ends up being." "Forever sounds terrifying," Iris admitted. "I've never let myself imagine forever with anyone." "Then imagine it with me." He cupped her face gently. "Imagine 20 years from now. Lily off at college. Us here with gray hair and reading glasses, still arguing about whose turn it is to choose the music. Imagine 30 years, grandkids running around, you teaching them piano, while I pretend I'm too dignified for tea parties. Imagine the rest of our lives, Iris. And tell me if you can see it." Iris closed her eyes and let herself imagine it, really imagine it, without the fear and doubt that usually clouded her vision. And there it was, crystal clear, terrifying and perfect. "I can see it," she whispered. "I can see all of it. Then when I ask you properly, you'll say yes? When you ask me properly, I'll probably cry and make you repeat the question 3 times because I won't believe it's real. But yes, eventually, I'll say yes." The smile that broke across Marcus's face was incandescent. He kissed her deeply, pouring months of love and hope and promise into the gesture. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Iris started laughing. "What?" Marcus asked. "I'm thinking about the first day we met. How you literally got on your knees in a hospital hallway and asked me to be a mother to your daughter. How completely insane that was. It worked, didn't it?" "It did. Against all logic and reason and professional boundaries, it worked." She kissed him again, quick and sweet. "We're idiots. We're happy idiots. That's different." "Is it?" "Absolutely." He stood and pulled her up with him. "Come on, let's go to bed. Tomorrow Lily wants to teach you the dance she learned at school, and you'll need energy for that. The energy of a saint, probably." "Lucky for you. I think you're pretty saintly." He wrapped his arm around her waist as they walked inside. "Though I'm very glad you're human enough to love me back. So human it's embarrassing." But Iris leaned into him, into this life they'd built from crisis and music boxes and desperate hope. A year later, on a summer evening with the Seattle skyline glowing behind them, Marcus Hale knelt in front of Iris Colton, this time with witnesses, with a ring, with his daughter bouncing excitedly beside him, and asked her to be his wife. Iris cried, made him repeat the question twice, and said yes before he could finish asking the 3rd time. Lily was, in fact, the most spectacular flower girl anyone had ever seen. And the music box Iris's grandmother had given her? It sat on the mantel in their home, a reminder that sometimes the smallest gestures, a song, a melody, a moment of reaching toward someone in pain, could change everything, could save lives, could build families, could teach frightened hearts that love, despite all its risks, was always worth choosing.